Have you ever wanted to watch someone destroy a cruel, arrogant family from the inside, piece by piece, without them ever suspecting a thing? Because that's exactly what Alina did. She married into the very family that humiliated her parents, and then 2 years later, she burned their legacy to the ground. This is the story of how one woman turned humiliation into power, and revenge into justice. If you've ever been underestimated, belittled, or disrespected, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe for more jaw-dropping real revenge stories, and stick around because what Alina pulled off is one of the coldest, most brilliant takedowns you'll ever hear. Alina was only 17 when she watched her parents' dignity get torn apart in front of a mansion full of people. Her father, a schoolteacher who had never asked anyone for anything, had gone to an old acquaintance, Mr. Shah, for help. Alina's younger brother had just been diagnosed with a heart condition, and they needed a short-term loan to pay for surgery. But instead of empathy, they got laughed at. Mrs. Shah, wrapped in gold and dripping with entitlement, looked them up and down like they were filth. "People like you should stay in your lanes," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "You don't belong with people like us." Alina stood frozen, the words slicing through her like ice. Laughter rippled through the family's guests. Even the staff smirked. Her father's face turned red. Her mother's hand tightened around hers. And Alina felt a quiet rage settle into her bones. That day she made a promise. A silent, burning vow. "One day I'll come back. And they will remember who I am." Her family left the mansion humiliated and broken. Her brother survived, thanks to a charitable organization that helped fund the surgery. But her father's spirit was never quite the same. He passed away a few years later from a heart attack, and Alina always believed it was the shame that helped kill him. Her mother, though still alive, carried a haunted look in her eyes anytime someone mentioned the Shahs. That humiliation fueled everything Alina did from that day forward. She studied harder than anyone else in her class. She got a scholarship abroad, and while other students were partying and chasing romance, Alina was working late shifts at cafes, freelancing online, and quietly building her dream. She dove into marketing, branding, and psychology. She wanted to understand people, what drove them, what broke them, and how to read between the lines of their polished smiles. By the time she was 24, she had founded a small digital branding agency that began attracting real attention from high-profile clients. She never bragged, never posted pictures of her success. She stayed under the radar, a ghost with a mission. Then fate dropped a gift right into her lap. At a tech networking event in Dubai, she bumped into a tall, kind-eyed man named Ayaan Shah. She recognized the last name instantly, but she said nothing. He was the youngest son of that Shah family, the same people who once spat on her family's dignity. He was charming, polite, and oddly humble. Nothing like the cruel elites she had grown up fearing. He was working on a startup and looking for someone to help with branding. When he asked if she was available, she smiled. "I think I can help," she said. Over the next few months, their meetings turned into conversations. Conversations into late-night chats. And chats into a full-blown romance. Ayaan had no idea who she was, or what his family had done. Alina kept it buried. Every smile she gave him was genuine, but every glance she gave his last name was calculated. She saw in him not just the opportunity to love, but the key to the fortress. A year later, he proposed. She accepted. The Shah family was not pleased. Mrs. Shah in particular hated her on sight. "She's pretty, yes, but clearly middle class," she whispered to her friends. "Look at her posture. Her accent. She's not one of us." But Ayaan was insistent. Alina, ever composed, said all the right things. "I'm not here to impress anyone. I just want to be a good wife to Ayaan." That single sentence, spoken in front of the whole family, melted most of their skepticism. The wedding was extravagant. Their photos made magazine spreads. Alina wore the red sari of her dreams, but in her heart, she carried no fairy tale, only a quiet, chilling purpose. Inside that marble mansion, she played the role to perfection. Sweet, obedient, generous. She complimented the elders, supported the younger cousins, and showed just enough humility to seem harmless. But behind every polite smile, she was gathering. She learned that Rayhan, the eldest son, was skimming money from the family textile business. She discovered bank statements, emails, and company records showing he had funneled funds through shell companies. He was arrogant about it, often talking about his business genius to anyone who'd listen. Then there was Sanaa, the eldest sister, bitter, stuck in a loveless marriage, and having a secret affair with her married boss. She used a second phone hidden in the house's wine cellar. Alina found it by accident one day, then began tracking its use. And then, of course, there was Mrs. Shah, the queen herself, controlling, manipulative, and secretly rerouting family wealth into hidden accounts to keep leverage over her husband. Alina collected it all. Screenshots, photos, voice memos, emails, passwords. She even built friendships with the housemaid and the driver, both of whom were eager to vent to someone who actually listened. She didn't hack anything. She just waited and watched. Like a lioness in the tall grass. For 2 years she prepared. And then, on the Shah's 40th wedding anniversary, she struck. The celebration was massive. Celebrities, politicians, media, the works. Alina offered to organize it as her gift to the family. They were thrilled. "Our daughter-in-law has finally proven herself," Mrs. Shah boasted. Everything was perfect. The food, the music, the lights. Then came the video presentation. Everyone expected a warm montage of memories. It began that way: baby pictures, wedding photos, holidays. People laughed, clapped, and wiped away tears. While Rehan Shah was praised as a business genius, he was secretly embezzling millions, followed by a slide of evidence: emails, transactions, shell companies. Guests gasped. Phones were raised. Next came Sanaa. Her affair exposed with voice recordings, hotel receipts, and text threads. Then Mrs. Shah's secret accounts, offshore holdings, and a whispered recording where she spoke of her husband as a useful idiot. Mr. Shah stood up, stunned into silence. Rehan's wife stormed out. Sanaa collapsed into a chair. Mrs. Shah shrieked. And then, Alina walked to the stage. She adjusted her red sari and stared at them. "Many years ago, my father came to this house begging to save his son's life. You laughed at him. You mocked my mother's clothes. You treated us like dirt. That humiliation killed my father. But I remembered. I never forgot." Security began to approach, but Mr. Shah, who hadn't spoken a word, raised his hand. "Let her speak. You thought I married your son for money? I didn't need it. I married him for access, for power, for revenge. And now, I'm done." She turned to Ayan, whose face was frozen in disbelief. Her voice softened. "You were the only one who didn't deserve this. I'm sorry." And she walked away. Past the whispers. Past the cameras. Out of the mansion that once humiliated her family. In the weeks that followed, the Shah family's empire collapsed. Rehan was arrested. Sanaa's scandal flooded social media. Business partners pulled out. Investigations followed. Mr. Shah quietly retired. Mrs. Shah disappeared from public life. And Ayan filed for divorce. He never contacted Alina again. Alina returned to her quiet apartment and visited her mother with tea and silence. One evening her mother finally asked, "Did it help?" Alina stared at the sky. "It didn't bring Baba back," she whispered. "But it gave him peace." The moment the video exposed everything, gasps, screams, phones flashing, was the moment Alina reclaimed her family's dignity. The Shahs were undone not by violence or lawsuits, but by the quiet, persistent patience of the girl they once humiliated. Their reactions, denial, rage, confusion, only deepened the satisfaction. And when Alina stood on that stage, not with vengeance in her eyes but justice in her voice, everyone watching felt it. The power of karma, served ice cold. Revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's built quietly, with every smile and every step taken in silence. Alina's story reminds us that justice has a memory. And sometimes, the people you least expect are the ones writing your ending. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And if you ever doubted that patience and intelligence can change the game, think again. Subscribe for more stories where karma hits back harder than anyone expected. We post every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next.